Manana Sizuz, Todos Hamzu, Buenos Dias, good morning, and thank you all for being here this morning in your Guam, 38th Guam Legislature at the Guam Congress Building. This morning's public hearing is conducted by the Committee on Finance and Government Operations and is called to order at this time, 0901 on this Monday, February 16, 2026. First notice of this public hearing was disseminated to all senators and media outlets on February 9, 2026, with its second notice disseminated on February 12, 2026. These hearing notices were also made available on the Guam Legislature's website, our legislative calendar, and the Government of Guam's public notice portal. The committee will hear testimony on the following bills on the agenda. Bill number 262-38, introduced by Vice Speaker V. Anthony Atta, an act to appropriate the sum of $890,000 to LIHESLATURAN GUÅHAN for its cybersecurity and autonomous needs for fiscal year 2026. The next bill on the agenda will be Bill number 246-38, COR, introduced by Senator Telo Taitague. It's an act to amend subsection 13031 of Chapter 1, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, to add the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to the list of entities, instrumentalities, exempt from the Bureau Budget Management Research Allotment Release Control to ensure timely and consistent access to appropriated funds for the Cancer Fund programs and services. At this time, I would like to welcome my colleagues who have joined us this morning, Senator Taitague and also Senator Calvo. Thank you for being here. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone in attendance of LIHESLATURAN GUÅHAN's general rules of conduct. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chairperson before speaking and shall state their full name for record-keeping purposes. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance and nature of the bill that's on the agenda. Personal inferences as to the character or motive of any senator or individual testifying is not permitted. The chairperson of the committee may order the removal from this hearing of any member of LIHESLATURAN GUÅHAN or the public audience who fails to observe proper decorum pursuant to the 38th Guam Legislature standing rules. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in immediate removal from this public hearing room. With that, we will now proceed to, and I'm going to change the order this morning to allow for those who have come to testify that they can get back to their business of the day. Given that the second bill, or the initial bill, is the legislature, and we'll be going through a PowerPoint on that, and so everyone else can get back to work, so we'll do that bill first. So at this point, I'd like to recognize Senator Telo Taitague, and that will be on bill number 246-38. Senator Taitague, you're recognized at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to my colleagues, and good morning to those who are listening from home, and especially those who are here taking the time out of your schedule to be here. And Mr. Chair, I had a pretty lengthy opening statement, but because of the amount of people that here, I'm just gonna dwindle that down a little bit, so to allow everyone the opportunity to testify, because that's more important than what I have. Well, what I have to say is important, but I think the people want to hear from those who have to deal with this on a daily basis. So that being said, Mr. Chair, again, thank you for having this public hearing, and I also like to thank my co-sponsors on this legislation who's here. Senator Shelley Calvo, of course, Senator Therese Trelahi, Senator Chris Barnett, Senator Sabina Paris, Vice Speaker Anthony Atta, Senator Jesse Lujan, Speaker Frank Bloss, Senator Joseph Augustine, and Senator Tina Rose Munoz Barnes. As you can tell, there's quite a bit of support for this legislation. So, that being said, Mr. Chair, the Guam Cancer Trust Fund was created because we recognize the reality. It exists so that families are not alone with bills piling up when travel is needed for treatment, when medication costs are out of reach, when somebody simply needs help navigating the system. Mr. Chair, last October, we took an important step forward when Bill 1 was signed into law, as Public Law 38-62. That law stabilizes funding for the Guam Cancer Trust Fund by guaranteeing that at least 15% of the Healthy Futures Fund, or $4 million annually, whichever is greater, would go directly to support the cancer services. That was about securing the funding. Bill 24638 is the continuation of that commitment. It ensures that the funding we fought to protect is not only guaranteed on paper, but delivered on time to the families who depend on it. But there was a problem. In recent years, when this legislation appropriated funds to the trust fund, those funds were not always released in a timely and predictable way. Allotments were sporadic, sometimes late in the fiscal year, and sometimes representatives had to physically retrieve checks for money that had already been approved. When funding arrives late, grant cycles are delayed. Cancer does not wait for paperwork. Families should not have to wait for support. Bill 246 fixes that operational problem. It doesn't increase spending. It doesn't raise taxes. It doesn't end programs. The fiscal note confirms that there is no additional fiscal impact. What this bill does is aligns the Guam Cancer Trust Fund with the University of Guam, which already administers it, and it exempts from all allotment releases, like the University of Guam. Oversight remains, audit remains, reporting remains. The legislature still controls appropriation. What changes is timing and certainty. In other words, Mr. Chair, this bill, with an amendment that I would also like to recommend to proffer in Section 3, would make funding available at all times every month for the allotment. And in the event special funds fall short of the projected revenues, that the general fund will cover that shortfall. That means there should be no delays in providing the funding. So again, in Section 3, to make that projections even clearer, regardless of what the revenues are, I provide an amendment to the bill that I will be sharing with you. So that being said, I'm anxious to hear from the public whether they support or don't support this, but I will definitely be the one to continue to fight the fight along with some of my other colleagues who supported this bill as well. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Taitague, and also I want to ensure that I recognize Senator Gumatauta, who's been here since the beginning of our opening. So thank you, Senator Gumatauta, for joining us. So I'm going to read on the list. I have 4 individuals signed up for oral testimony, and that's Yvette Polino, Chris Felix, and Terry Cobal, and also Charlene Santos Bomba. Yeah, so those individuals were signed up for oral as well as support. So come forward. If there's anybody else who would like to provide oral testimony, you can come forward as well. But those are the ones who originally signed up. This one is written on. Okay, and Senator Espodan, welcome back to your house as well. Please come forward. You're signed up for oral testimony. And Ashley Calvo Rodriguez as well, signed up. As a sign-in sheet's just coming. Ashley, would you like to provide oral testimony? Just written, okay. So with that, we have everybody who's come forward that is going to be testifying in person. And then I'd just like to make sure we recognize those who are also had joined us this morning. Marie Benito from the Payless Foundation. Thank you, Marie, for being here. Pauline Manabusan from Guam Cancer Care. Willie Endozo from Guam Cancer Care. Stephanie Anjaneta, Guam Cancer Care. Sorry if I've messed that up. Tony Lynn Tomonaka, GCTF UOG, Joanne Polino, same organization, and Janelle Lujan, same organization. So thank you all for being here today, to be here with and grace us with your presence, as well as those that will be testifying in person. So, Senator, would you like to start us off?
Thank you, Senator Duenas, and good morning, everybody. I didn't prepare any written testimony. I think this is kind of a no-brainer, and that's from my perspective. I've come here representing the Judah Foundation. We have a program called Wings for Life. Our purpose is to help cancer patients who are referred for off-island treatment. Our purpose is to help them get off-island. We provide the airfare assistance for those whose insurance companies do not assist with air transportation to go off-island for cancer treatment. This bill, I think, is a very simple analysis. And the reason why I say that, because I would like Mr. Chairman, for you, if I may, just ask you to go ahead and give me a number between 23 to 100, 150, if you just give me a number. And what I will do is I will refer to a page number in this book. This book has a list of patients that we've assisted. It has their name, their identifying, their corresponding patient number, and what they're afflicted with. So, Senator, if you could just give me a number, and I'll turn to that page, and I'd like to read something for you.
Senator, I'm honored by that request. So I'm going to give you 59, and I'm going to explain
59.
why. I'm 59 years old, and I'm very familiar recently with the difficulty of cancer. So please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 59 basically is a list of patients, and this is from September in 2023. And we can go on to other pages that will list more updated. But just for that, I'm going to list just what the patients we have sent on this particular day on this particular page. The first patient, osteosarcoma, bone cancer, right? We have lymphoma. We have, let me see, what else we got? Oh, we have sent an escort, a caregiver, right, to go along with a patient who's actually a Medicaid patient, and a Medicaid does not pay for an escort. And so what we do is we assist with the caregiver escort to be able to accompany the patient. We don't believe that a patient should travel by themselves, especially in this kind of situation. Another one is something I've never heard of. I had to look up. It's called Lynch syndrome. And then there's also breast cancer, which we're all familiar with. There's oropharyngeal, basically the nose, the face cancer. We have esophagus, adenocarcinoma of the esophagus. We have endometrial cancer, the uterine cancer. We have thyroid cancer. We have invasive breast cancer. We have prostate cancer, breast cancer again, stomach cancer, and the list goes on. We can go to several more dozens of pages, and you'll have a list of all the various kinds of cancer. I think everybody's really familiar with, they hear about breast cancer, they hear about lung cancer, and those are kind of, and uterine cancer, and those are kind of the cancers that people are kind of familiar with. But there's so many different kinds of cancers. And I guess the point I'm trying to drive home is when you have patients who come, who are medically referred, who really need to get off island, and there's no funding to help them do that, that hurts, right? It hurts the patients, it hurts the family, and it actually works against the cancer, because then what we see is we see metastasis. Metastasis is basically where the cancer starts to spread to other parts of the body. And so it is important. There have been times, if I may say, where the funding was a little slow to come. And so I've had to make the personal decision, what should I do to be able to help these patients get off island, according to the appointments they have already set up, according to the emergency nature of their situation, And I've had to pull money out of my own pocket, use my own personal credit card, just to be able to get these patients off island. And again, for whatever reason, whether it be just a technical bureaucratic reason or, again, for whatever reason, if the funds are slow in coming, we have decisions we need to make of how can we help these patients get off island. So I believe, and when you talk about really the percentage of what the Guam Cancer Trust Fund is supposed to receive versus the wholeness of the government budget, it's a very small percentage. And so to me, it makes sense to be able to make sure that the funding is there, not just for our organization, but for all the organizations that you see here, to be able to help the cancer patients. We all have our individual roles of how we assist the patients. We fly patients. We have the Guam Cancer Care, who helps navigate the patients through the various assistance programs, as well as provide for financial assistance and other kinds of help that cancer patients really need. We have the Calvo Foundation, who help financially. Again, that is a big part, because going off island for treatment, sometimes this is not a one-week thing, one-week stay. Sometimes this is a month, 2 months, 3 months. That little bit of financial assistance helps cover the lodging, the food, and whatnot that is required to be able to go through the whole treatment. And then we have it happening again. Sometimes they have to go back because it has metastasized. And every time there's a delay in funding, right, that basically delays the progress of the treatment for the patients. So that's all I really have to say. That to the point, I think this is a good bill, and it's a very simple analysis, but I will let my other colleagues in the cancer industry speak to their needs. But I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that you all take into consideration what this really truly means to the very many types of cancer patients that we have. It's not just breast cancer, it's not just one kind of cancers. There are so many different kinds of cancers that our people at Guam have, and we don't have the facilities or the expertise to be able to treat it here. So we ask for your support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Susmasi, Senator Espadon, and thank you for your testimony. So we will go back to our list again, and Ms. Yvette Polino, please proceed.
Madam Citizen, good morning, distinguished senators, Senator Gumatautal, Chairman Duenas, Senator Talahi, Senator Calvo, and Senator Taitague, the author of this bill, number 246-38. I hereby submit this testimony in support of the bill, which adds the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to the list of entities exempt from the allotment release control of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research, or BBMR. Last year, as was described by Senator Taitague earlier, this legislature passed Bill number 1-38, enacted as Public Law number 38-62, thereby securing an appropriation of at least $4 million to the GCTF annually beginning FY 2026. And we are incredibly grateful for this support. The application submitted to GCTF for FY 2026 funding amounted to $4.9 million, far exceeding the $4 million appropriation. But as diligent stewards of the trust fund, we reviewed and evaluated all applications with a critical eye and approved whole or partial funding for requests that either sustained direct services for cancer patients or offered promising primary prevention through education and outreach efforts. The GCTF Council voted unanimously to recommend $3.4 million aligned with caps allowable by law of up to 75% for direct services and up to 10% for education and outreach. 6 nonprofit organizations were recommended for continued funding, and that includes Azuda Foundation, Catholic Social Services, Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation, Guam Cancer Care, Payless Markets Community Foundation, and Total Guam Foundation. This budget year, we committed funds to support 2 more new nonprofit organizations, including the Filipino Community of Guam and the Nicolette Baldovino Community Foundation, Incorporated. Currently, the FY 2026 funding supports direct services such as off-island travel for treatment for cancer patients, plus 1 escort through Azuda Foundation, respite care services through Catholic Social Services, financial assistance for a broad range of needs through the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation, patient navigation services, supplies, and financial assistance through Guam Cancer Care, Circle of Cancer Care and Psycho-Oncology support services for cancer patients and their caregivers through Payless Community Foundation, and cancer risk screening among our most vulnerable populations through Total Guam Foundation. Remarkably, for the first time in the Trust Fund's history, we are very pleased to report the awarding of over $1.1 million that can be applied to medication and treatment for cancer patients through grant awards to the Calvo Cancer Foundation of $726,000, the Guam Cancer Care's Financial Assistance Program of $250,000, and the Nicolette Baldovino Community Foundation, Inc. of $150,000. GCTF, through the University of Guam, continues to strive for excellence in administering the funds we receive to support our cancer patients. We believe in Bill 246-38's intent to ensure that award recipients receive their grant funds in a manner that is timely and consistent so that in turn, they may continue to provide uninterrupted services to our cancer patients. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge BBMR for their recent efforts in timely allotments to the GCTF. Since the beginning of FY 2026, we have received monthly allotments of about $48,000 a month so far. However, the trust fund's monthly debt is about 4.5 times that amount as experienced in our most recent disbursements for December 2025 awards. We understand that special funds such as the Healthy Futures Fund in our case may fall short sometimes, and should this result in monthly allotments below our drawdown schedule of about $333 per month, we respectfully request consideration of other available revenue resources to supplement GCTF's fall short. Maintaining a level of monthly allotments at or close to our drawdown schedule is critical to sustaining our monthly costs. So whether it is to purchase airline tickets for off-island cancer care or to provide patient navigation services, medical supplies, treatment, psycho-oncology support services, or respite for caregivers, over 6,200 cancer patients have been impacted by GCTF just since 2022 through our direct services grant. And thousands more Guam residents, including our youth and adult communities, were reached through the Trust Fund's education and outreach grants. In closing, on behalf of the GCTF Council and the University of Guam, we support Bill number 246-38, which intends to secure timely and consistent allotments to the GCTF. Additionally, any measures that can be put in place to ensure a monthly payment at or close to GCTF's drawdown schedule will continue to help our nonprofit organizations provide the direct services desperately needed by our cancer patients. Sizos Mahasi.
Sidus Masi, Ms. Yvette Polino, for your testimony. And next is Mr. Chris Felix.
Hi, I'm Chris Felix. Most of you know me as a dirt dealer, but I also happen to be a member of the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. I'm on the board, I think, for the last 4 years, Remy. About 4 years now I've been on the board. And as has already been explained, we get these proposals from the different cancer institutes, different charity groups, and we go through them, and we have so much money we can spend, so we try to give what we feel is the best dollar, the best buck for the best deal, and try to get the best for that we can get and give to these charities. If we have $4 million, we divide that up in a way we feel is the best for the patients, for the people of Guam. it's been a very enlightening 4 years for me. We personally, each one of us on the board seem to focus on different things. I like to focus on making sure that people get transportation, get air transportation, get hotel transportation, and able to get back and forth between hotels and the hospital. Cancer, you don't stay in a hospital generally if you're under cancer care. You normally go through a treatment, then you're released for 2-3 weeks, at least that's the way it was for my family. And then you're back in. So you got all this back and forth. And you also have someone that has to take care of you, personal family member. And they have to go back and forth every day. They can't spend the day in the hospital. So there's a lot of money going back and forth that was not accounted for and isn't covered by insurance if you're lucky enough to have insurance. So this has been really a good thing for Guam. And we make sure it remains good, that the money goes where it should go. And we do that very carefully. And we work very hard to make sure that the right people get the money that they need and the right organization gets the money so they can get it to their people. And when we don't get the money in a regular basis, we can't, these companies, these organizations, they have to kind of advance, if I have it right. They got to pay it, and then they send us the bill. They have to prove that the money went to these certain places and the money was spent, and then we reimburse them. That's the way it's set up. So if we don't get the money on a timely basis, I can't reimburse these, and then they can't spend it on the next group or the next month. And so it's really serious. There were some years, 3-4, things have been much better the last couple years, but 3-4 years ago, I mean, we were getting 50 grand and we needed 500,000. And it was really bad that we had to sit with these other companies and say, I'm sorry, I can't give you the 100,000 you've already spent and you want back so you can give to somebody else. And you're looking at these faces as a senator just read to you, these people who are dying and you can't help them. This is not good. I'm trying hard not to get emotional. Some of you senators, Senator Calvo, Senator Taitague, knew my wife, Rose Tamaras Felix. She passed 5 years ago. Tomorrow's her 5th anniversary. She had leukemia. We found out that she had leukemia. In one day, we were on a plane because the doctor said she was 70% her blood and she had to go. We got her on a plane. We got to USC, Norris Cancer Institute. We got her put in there. Then I had to go rent a place out in Pasadena because, again, she was released and put in. So we travel every day. I would have to come in and sometimes she'd come back and stay with us. And it was 6 months. We went through 6 months of this. She had to go through three different types. We were blessed. Rose and I were blessed. We didn't ask for any money. We didn't need any money. We paid everything out of our pockets, and we're blessed. I didn't ask, didn't need it, and so I was fine. But while we were there, there were 4 others in the same hospital on the same floor from Guam. And we would get together all the time. And they were, their husbands were, one lady, her husband was far away and he had to come in when he could, and he couldn't come in all the time. And so these things, we really need this transportation. It's nickel and dime, but to them, they don't have the money. There was one other thing I really wanted to speak about is some of our insurance companies on Guam do not pay for bone marrow transplants. When you have leukemia, the final treatment is a bone marrow transplant, and that costs about $600,000 to $700,000. And some insurance companies on Guam do not cover it. And the hospital in Norris Cancer Institute, one of the 4 hospitals there in a group in USC, they could not believe that our insurance companies did not cover bone marrow. They said, we've never heard of an insurance company that does not. And they don't take bone, it's really just a blood transfusion, and then they run the blood through some special treatment and then feed it. They get it from one patient and feed it into another to help their white blood cell and to help their bones heal. And so I could not believe that. We had to show, we had 2 weeks to gather $700,000 cash. And, I could do that, and it was hard, but I could do it. I can't imagine how some people on Guam, who aren't blessed as me, have to go through that. Where are they going to get 700? And the insurance company says, no, we don't do transplants. Well, transplants, okay, but bone marrow transplant, please, senators, look at that. And thank you, Senator Taitague, for this bill. We need this cash flow. And I'm sorry I got off the track, as I always do, and I talk too much. Thank you.
You're quite happy to take your testimony, Mr. Chris Felix, and thank you for being here and sharing with us. We really appreciate that. I'd like to also welcome our colleague, Senator Chalahi, saying thank you for joining us. Next is Terry Coba. Terry, you're recognized.
Half-a-day Senator Chris Duenas and members of the 38th Guam Legislature. My name is Terry Quabo, Executive Director and co-founder of Guam Cancer Care, a Guam nonprofit organization whose focus is to provide direct support services to Guam residents afflicted by cancer in the form of providing patient navigation, financial assistance, transportation, screening, and early detection. Guam Cancer Care is celebrating 14 years this year, and I'm pleased to say that since our inception, we have served over 4,600 Guam residents afflicted by cancer, issued over $2.1 million in financial assistance and grant payments, brought in over $33.8 million in outside resources, and issued over $600,000 in patient supplies, ranging from nutritional supplements, insured glycerina, colostomy supplies, adult diapers, wipes, wheelchairs, and rollators. I am submitting this official written testimony in favor of Bill 246-38, as it is intended to add the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to the list of entities exempt from the Bureau of Budget and Management Research Allotment Release Control, with the goal of ensuring timely and consistent access to appropriated funds for cancer programs and services. Over the past 14 years, really the main focus was the lack of appropriations to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund in compliance with the 15% rule under Public Law 3080. Through the diligence and dedication of Senator Telo Taitague, she was able to push Bill 138 through this body and ultimately creating Public Law 3862, which guaranteed $4 million every year to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to benefit patients under direct support programs. From a government funding perspective, appropriations are half the battle. The receiving of funds is a whole different animal. And receiving these funds is done through the allotment of funds process under the purview of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. Historically, and over the past 14 years, you would see time and time again issues regarding the delay in the grant cycle process from the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. The grant cycles have differed over the past many years from a normal October to September process, going to a December to December process. In addition to the inconsistencies in the grant periods, there were significant delays in the reimbursements of grant expenditures to nonprofit organizations providing these direct support services to Guam cancer patients, to the point where the delays, like Mr. Chris Felix said, was 5 to 6 months, and we were fronting the cash, and it became really an operational problem for our nonprofit. On the surface, you would believe that the Guam Cancer Trust Fund were inefficient and ineffective in their duties to oversee the fund, but that was far from the truth. The issues with implementing the grants call-outs annually or reimbursing the NPOs for grant expenditures was due in large part to the significant delay in releasing allotments by GovGuam and BBMR to the GCTF. I do not begrudge the GCTF or BBMR over what was done in the past. We just need to move forward. Bill 24638 does just that. It ensures that the funding through the allotment process is done expeditiously, whereby BBMR does not include GCTF in prioritizing where limited available cash the government collects at any given time is released through the allotment process. This bill ensures that funds appropriated to the GCTF from the Healthy Futures Fund is in fact released in a timely manner to ensure timely and consistent access to funds that are available. Again, Guam Cancer Care submits this written testimony in favor of Bill 246-38. Thank you for your time.
Sidus Masi, Terry Quabo. I appreciate you very much for your testimony. Next is Ms. Charlene Santos Bamba. Ms. Charlene, please proceed.
Buenas, half a day, Chairman Duenas, Senator Gumatautau, Senator Terlahi, Senator Calvo, and Senator Taitague. I'm Charlene Santos Bamba, the Senior Vice President and Provost at the University of Guam. I'm also acting president. And I sit before you today to support Bill 246-38. The University of Guam has been a responsible steward of administering the funds for the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. We were charged in 2010 to promulgate rules and to develop the program. And together with the chairperson, Dr. Yvette Paulino, council members like Mr. Chris Felix, and the employees of GCTF, who are in the room today, by the way, if you could please stand up and just show yourselves who you are, those who manage the day-to-day operations of the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. These employees work steadfastly for the people of Guam and for the community. And the University of Guam is really proud to host this program and to work with members of the community. Together with the leadership, the council members, and the employees, they really kind of take a look at what the landscape is. And in particular, the council members who review these applications, they don't get paid. This is a labor of love. It's because they are committed to helping the people of Guam. People like Mr. Chris Felix, like Dr. Francine Napati, like Ms. Kaneshiro. They all meet to review these applications. And what I hear over and over again is, where are patients getting these services? Are they getting direct services? And that's a large part of the focus, direct services to cancer patients, in addition to education. The Guam Cancer Trust Fund also provides information to the public. For applicants, there's webinars, there's information available on the website, as well as literature. So all who are interested in applying for the funds may do so, and the information is accessible. And I think that's key here. At the University of Guam, with the Guam Cancer Trust Fund, we do our best to make information accessible, because the more information that is available, more people will be able to avail of these services. You know, we've had to field calls in the past from members in the community saying that the University of Guam is not dispersing funds or services have ceased. And we explained to them that we administer the fund, right? That it's not our funds to share with the community. It's the funds from the government of Guam. And they understand that, but nonetheless, their cancer is still there. There isn't a person in this room today who hasn't had experience with a loved one, a friend, a colleague, a neighbor who has had cancer or who has suffered through this process. And I think we can all understand that people need help. And if these allotments are given in a timely manner and are sufficient, then the University of Guam, again, will continue to disperse these funds to ensure that the nonprofit organizations receive the funds that they need to help those people. So on behalf of the University of Guam, we want to thank you all for proposing this bill and ensuring that our people will continue to get the services that they so very much need. Thank you very much.
Sijus Maasi, Ms. Charlene Bamba, we appreciate your testimony. And now, Ms. Marie Benito, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hafidin, good morning, members of LIHESLATURAN GUÅHAN. My name is Marie Benito, President of the Payless Markets Community Foundation and a facilitator for the Circle of Care Cancer Support and Psycho-Oncology Services. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the foundation and our program, but more importantly, because cancer has touched my life personally. From the moment of diagnosis, cancer patients and their families find themselves overwhelmed with fear, financial strain, and difficult decisions about treatment, what to do, where to go, and how to navigate everything in between. Beyond medical treatment, patients need emotional and psychological support to manage side effects, emotional challenges, and everyday struggles. Caregivers, too, take on new and often unprepared roles while balancing their own limitations. That's where the Circle of Care comes in. Our team helps cancer patients and their families navigate the challenges associated with the diagnosis. Our team includes clinical psychologists, facilitators, cancer care specialists, all who assist patients navigate their journey. We have weekly online support groups, twice monthly in-person gatherings, patient navigation services, and special activities that help provide much-needed comfort, support, and the social connection to enhance their quality of life. Since launching our program just 23 months ago, we have seen a growing need for support services. As of December 31st, 2025, the Circle of Care program, through the generous support and funding from the Guam Cancer Trust Fund, we have provided 77 online support group sessions, 35 in-person support group sessions, 17 Art for Healing classes, 18 oncology nutrition classes, 35 yoga for cancer classes. Additionally, COC program has held 49 Tai Chi Qigong classes and water aerobics classes. We've helped over 305 individual and family psycho-oncology counseling sessions. We've had 71 guest speakers from the community provide valuable information to participants on a variety of topics. In addition to our general support groups, we've offered a specialized gynecological support group for women with ovarian, cervical, uterine, or fallopian tube cancer, a breast cancer support group, and a prostate cancer support group for men. We've recently included support for children diagnosed whose parents or loved ones have been diagnosed with cancer. And when participants can't join us, we conduct home and hospital visits, letting them know they're not alone. All these services are free of charge because of funding we've received from the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. I strongly support Bill number 246-38, which will add the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to the list of organizations and entities exempt from the Bureau of Budget and Management Research Allotment Release Control. The Circle of Care has been able to provide critical support and psycho-oncology services that were previously limited or non-existent on island because of this general funding. Maintaining the quality, stability, and continuity of our support services is key to our program's success, and more importantly, to the health of participants who depend on it. Delays and disruptions in grant announcements, awarding, and reimbursements can create a chain reaction, resulting in broken or delayed rollout of our support services. We are grateful to the legislators who established this source of funding. We are thankful to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund for realizing the need in the community for cancer support and psycho-oncology services. And we're hopeful that this body recognizes and approves the need to include the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to the list of exempt entities so that we can continue to provide regular support and psycho-oncology services to our island community. Thank you.
Sizus Masi, Ms. Marie Benito, we appreciate your testimony. And also we have joining us Zenny Nace. I know you have written testimony from the Todu Foundation, Guam Todu Foundation. Would you like to come up and testify in person, or are you just providing your written testimony? Either way is fine. Okay, so we'll accept your testimony as submitted in favor and written testimony to demonstrate. Yes, and so that will be part of the record, and we appreciate you showing up in support of the bill today. Thank you. So now we'll go to our senators if they have any questions of the panel or any comments. But Senator Taitague, would you like to go last? Okay, so we'll go in the order of arrival then. Senator Calvo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hafide, buenas everyone. Thank you for all your testimonies, heartfelt testimonies. And as former Senator Jim Espelon mentioned earlier, that this is such a no-brainer. I don't really have any questions because all your testimonies have provided sufficient information of what truly our community is experiencing. And like Ms. Charlene said from UOG, every single person here in this room today, not just today, but a lot of people in our community have at least experienced cancer case in their family. I'd like to thank the author of the bill, Senator Telo Taitague, and for inviting me to co-sponsor. I fully support this bill, and I would like to see it through for it to move forward. This is a small portion of what our community truly needs. So I fully support this one, and I hope that this moves along. Anyway, on that note, thank you again for everybody who came here to support and for all the testimonies, the heartfelt testimonies that the panel have offered. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sizus Masi, Senator Calvo, and we'd like to also welcome joining us Senator Sabrina Salas Montanani. Thank you for being here. And now I'll recognize Senator Sean Gumatauto for any questions or comments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the panel for being with us this morning. I only have a pair of questions, Mr. Chair, and I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. So for the record, and I'll probably go to Yvette, did the Guam Cancer Trust Fund receive its full appropriation in FY 2025, despite the reported just over $1 million in Healthy Futures Fund shortfall last fiscal year? And what information, if any, is available confirming which specific Healthy Futures Fund supported obligations was adversely impacted by the shortfall with the Guam Cancer Trust Fund?
Thank you, Senator Gumatauto. For FY 2025, if I recall correctly, we did receive the full allotment. However, this was based on the original amount that we got through the budget bill, and then there was a supplemental budget that we received. And so we had received all of that. I believe it was $2.5 million total. However, a couple of years before that, we did not receive the full allotment. So I think things are slowly improving, and that's where we're at right now.
Okay, and my only other question was, because the bill as drafted intends to allow the Guam Cancer Trust Fund to draw against its appropriations as needed pursuant to a drawdown schedule, ensuring timely and stable funding for the many cancer programs that we heard about this morning, what specific challenges has the fund experienced in accessing its appropriations during FY25? I think you mentioned it, but can you go in a little bit more detail?
Yes.
Recognizing that BBMR reported last September that appropriations were fully expended by the end of that fiscal year?
So as I had mentioned previously, when we do receive the funds, it's not sufficient to what our expenses are on a monthly basis. So just taking, and I don't have the exact numbers for 2025, but let's just say using 2026 so far, our expenses, and I don't have the exact numbers because we're still closing out 2025 December, but we were already at about $230,000 to $250,000 in debt, and we had only received $48,000 per month for 4 months. So it's, yeah, it doesn't add up.
No, thank you so much for your candor. And one last thing, Mr. Chair, is more of a comment. I know Chris Felix said that he was going a bit off track in talking about his example from his family, but what we need, Mr. Chair, to go on track is the ability of the executive branch to support mandates like this that are created by this co-equal branch of government. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Gumatauta. Senator Talahi, you recognize.
Mr. Chair, thank you all for your testimony today and for all of your work for our cancer patients. I have full faith in the services that you are providing and that you continue to provide despite sometimes the delay by the government in reimbursements. And we are very grateful. I'm in full support of this program that the legislature set up before I got here. And I am glad to hear that there are some improvements in its implementation across the board, and expansion, I see. So that's very good. As you're correct in that the impact that it has on every family on Guam. I guess wanted to clarify a couple of things. So we're telling BBMR that they no longer have discretion in what they're going to release. They're going to release 1/12 of the appropriation to you every month. And then OFB says that may jeopardize the financial stability of the government of Guam funds and resources because they're no longer able to, I guess, manage cash flow as they have been doing. But I guess for the GCTF, can you just a couple questions. Do the grants, when you give them out, do they include a provision like subject to the availability of funds? Yes, all right. And do you, and then can you just explain this one more time? Since the beginning of FY26, we have received monthly allotments, about 48,000 per month. And then you go down and say, should this result in monthly allotments below our drawdown schedule, about 333,000 per month?
Yes. Yes, so the drawdown schedule that was submitted by the University of Guam for FY 2026 was based on the $4 million for FY 2026. And so we submitted a drawdown schedule of $333,000 per month. And so the $48,000 that we have received each month for the last 4 months is insufficient for what our true costs are. And that would include the awards as well as the cost for staff time.
All right. When did they notify you that they would only be giving you 48,000 per month?
I don't
October?
Recall receiving
they weren't
notification.
Really That's just what they give.
It's what our business office receives and then reports to us.
All right. So if this bill's passed, seems like it's effective immediately. That means instead of 48,000 that month, you would receive 333,000 per month.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I can see why BBMR and OFB are a little concerned. That's going to be tough for the government, I'm sure, with the cash. But of course, I don't know what else we're going to do. If we're awarding in advance and then we're reimbursing for services already provided, that's kind of how we're going to have to do it, I think, to give you that money in a reliable fashion. And if there's some huge major problem in the Healthy Futures funds revenue, then we're going to have to deal with that on a larger basis, I think, because that will impact not just Cancer Trust Fund, but many other agencies of the government that are relying on that Healthy Futures Fund. Thank you so much. Thanks again for all your work, all of you. Si Tus Masi, Mr. Chair.
Susmasi, Senator Chalahi. Senator Sabrina Salas-Mantanani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also don't have any questions. I came down here because I wanted to just show my appreciation to all of you and all of the work that you do for our cancer patients. And I also support Bill 246. I think it's just unfortunate how these allotments are causing all of these delays in providing the services to our cancer patients. So I look forward to voting in support of this bill. And again, thank you.
Si Jusmasi, Senator Montanani. Senator Telo Taitague, you're recognized at this time.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and those who submitted testimony who wasn't able to be here, for all your support on this. I've also received testimony personally from individuals who are dealing with cancer right now, and not just, you know, those who are in the nonprofits that are here. We get it all the time. Almost, you know, every week there's quite a bit of people who come up and say thank you for all your help. And so I just wanted to extend that to each and every one of you who helps those cancer patients out there. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And it's our responsibility as a government to provide the assistance that's needed. You know, if just alone, if we took former Senator Espaldon's book and we added the cost of that up, just his alone, we are so undercutting this Cancer Trust Fund by so much, just his alone. It's a responsibility of us to help our community, especially in the areas where you can't get the treatment here on this island. If you can't get it on this island, then the government needs to step in and help. This bill, it's not enough. I'm sorry, I wish I can give more. The amendment that I'm going to make on this legislation, it's very simple. When the special funds, Healthy Futures Funds, is tracking lower than projected, then my amendment will require that the government Guam subsidizes for the Cancer Trust Fund. Unfortunately, I'm asking just for the Cancer Trust Fund. Guam Memorial Hospital, Public Health, Guam Behavioral Wellness, they get 10 million and even higher in funds. This, only $4 million compared to what they receive. It's very minimal. We're going to change that because it's obvious that there are so many people on this island right now who need the help. I'm also looking at ensuring that the special funds gets its fair share when it comes to the Healthy Futures Funds by encouraging maybe this committee to push forward on the vaping, taxing of vaping, because we all saw that go down because of it. And believe it or not, I've been working with the vaping community, and they support that increase in tax. You know, where else do you find anyone else says, oh yeah, we'll take the taxes, you know, and these individuals who sell vaping, they believe that it should be taxed. So we're going to increase that, and hopefully that'll increase. 4 million, it's not enough. I'm going to continue to fight for more funding, and hopefully my colleagues see, just from today alone, how we are so undercutting our community who faces this devastating disease. But there are so many great things I just wanted to bring up. It's people who survive. People who are told that they only have 6 months. And 5 years later, they're still talking with their family and loving and enjoying life. There are some great stories we can tell people too. And I'd like for us to also, you know, incorporate that, the great stories. I'm a great story. 7 years, and I'm still here. So we can celebrate that, even though today was very heart-wrenching and we're all holding in our tears. Some better than others, but we've got those happy stories to tell. So let's make more of those happy stories. And we can do it by supporting this bill and future bills, and especially this amendment to help subsidize when the Healthy Futures funds fall short, that we are subsidized there. So, that being said, for the mother in treatment, for the father trying to provide while battling his illness, for the child whose life had just begun, who should be thinking of school, friends, and dreams in the future, not chemotherapy, not appointments or hospital rooms. For the advocates who stand beside them, thank you. Sustainability matters, access matters, but most importantly, time matters. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Taitague, and just a couple comments from myself as well before we close on this bill. First of all, I don't think anybody on our island has escaped the scourge of cancer. And certainly this is a very important bill. And the committee will make sure that we mark the bill up and get it on for the March session. I also wanted to say, Ms. Charlene Bamba, thank you for yourself and the University of Guam for assisting us on the performance-based budgeting project going forward, and to build that out and have I don't think that there's any question that if you go to every single one of these nonprofits, they're asking for more consideration so that they can continue to perform at a basic level and also maybe a higher level with regard to being exempt from that disbursement. So this committee will take this very seriously and report this bill out for the March session. I think really the only markup would be to work with the author to include the amendment during the markup process and the meeting that takes place so that it can be clean when it hits the floor, and we can move forward on this. And yeah, I mean, I understand there's always going to be considerations from those who manage cash, you know, in terms of this type of impact, but I think the government can handle it. And I certainly know that in this instance, because many of you nonprofits, I mean, this is not your only source of funding. You know, some folks ask us, you know, this is, the government gives this appropriation, and I say, yeah, and I'll tell you what, these organizations also raise money. They raise money outside of just this funding. This funding is to help, you know, because the need is so large. But they have other avenues to raise funding, but this is, you know, our taxpayer and our government's way of saying we want to help as well, and we'll help the best we can. So I think there should be no problem finding out and making sure that they can move forward on allotment releases when this bill becomes law. So thank you, Senator Taitague, and all of the members that have taken the time to be here this morning on this very important matter. We'll take a 1-minute recess before we move on to the next bill to allow for the guests to say goodbye and have a great day. 1-minute recess for the committee. Welcome back, Senators. And now we're moving on now to the discussion on Bill number 262-38. Once again, I will read the title. And this bill is introduced, as the title will indicate, by our Vice Speaker, Anthony Ada, and an act to appropriate the sum of $890,000 to LIHESLATURAN GUÅHAN for its cybersecurity and automations needs for FY 2026. And the Vice Speaker is currently off island, and so he's asked me to read his opening statement before we go to testimony on the bill. So the statement from the Vice Speaker is as follows. Hafa colleagues and the listening public, I am pleased to open discussion on Bill number 262-38, introduced by himself, Vice Speaker Tony Ada, who is off island today. As co-sponsor and chairman of the committee, I'm proud to present this measure because it addresses a need that has been deferred for far too long. This bill appropriates $890,000 to the Guam legislature for its automation and cybersecurity needs for fiscal year 2026, with the intent to finally modernize the legislature's information technology systems, upgrades that are not only overdue, but essential to daily operations of this branch and to the transparency we owe the people of Guam. For years, our IT infrastructure, both here in the Guam Congress building and across our satellite senator offices, has relied on outdated, end-of-life equipment. This funding allows us to replace critical network hardware, restore reliability, and support secure connectivity for all legislative offices. The general public views our website, our television feeds, and our YouTube channel. All of these need major improvements to continue to promote accessibility and transparency. Just as important, this appropriation enables the legislature to procure the modern legislative drafting, publishing, and automation software that our staff need to efficiently produce bills, committee reports, and public documents. Access to research services, AI technology, and other applications will assist the legislature with serving the public more effectively and efficiently, giving our citizens, attorneys, and government agencies the most accurate and easily accessible information possible. These tools directly improve the accuracy, speed, and public access to legislative information. And finally, Bill 262-38 strengthens our cybersecurity posture. With increasing threats to government systems nationwide, this measure ensures we can conduct a full cybersecurity audit, implement stronger protections, and secure our data through cloud-based backups and off-site redundancy. In short, this bill delivers long-delayed but critical upgrades. It modernizes our IT infrastructure, improves our legislative process through nationally utilized software, and safeguards the cybersecurity of this branch. Further, the legislature will likely need to continue support for these endeavors annually. I respectfully ask for the body's support so that the legislature can continue to operate securely, efficiently, and transparently for the people we serve. So at this time, I'd like to recognize our Executive Director, First Lady Joanne Camacho, for testimony and also for the testimony of the IT division. Please proceed, First Lady.
Thank you, sir. Hafade, Madam Chair of the Information Technology, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of the Bill 262-38 LS, which appropriates $890,000 to the Guam legislature for critical upgrades to its information technology system, legislative software, and cybersecurity infrastructure. This funding is not about luxury technology upgrades. It is about meeting minimum nationally recognized cybersecurity standards required to protect legislative operations, sensitive data, and continuity of government. We must stop kicking the can down the road and address this long-standing, way overdue issue of technology upgrades for the legislature. Upgrades which have not occurred in more than 10 years is simply no longer acceptable. Simply put, you, our senators, and operation of central office cannot operate securely, efficiently, and in a transparent manner for the people of Guam without these necessary upgrades. Information technology infrastructure upgrades. The legislature's Management Information System, MIS division, has identified significant deficiencies in our current network hardware, much of which is outdated, end of life, and no longer supported by manufacturers. Replacing switches, routers, firewalls across the Guam Congress building and all senators' district offices is necessary to restore reliability, improve bandwidth, and support secure connectivity between offices. These upgrades will establish a modern, enterprise-grade network capable of supporting legislative operation and future technology needs. Legislative drafting, publishing, and automation software built 26238 also supports the acquisition of updated legislative drafting and automation tools. As stated in the fiscal note memorandum, these systems are essential for improving the accuracy, speed, accessibility of legislative documents, including bills, committee reports, and archival materials. Modernizing these tools will enhance public access, streamline internal workflows, and ensure that the legislature meets its obligation to maintain a transparency and efficiency for the people of Guam. Cybersecurity enhancement. Cybersecurity threats to government institutions continues to grow in frequency and sophistication. MIS assessment highlights the urgent need for a third-party penetration test and full cybersecurity audit, security as an in-service protection for all external senators' offices, and a cloud-based backup, imaging, and off-site backup servers. These measures are critical in safeguarding the sensitive legislative data, ensuring continuity of operation, and meeting recognized cybersecurity standards such as the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and Center of Internet Security, CIS, as referenced in the bill. This funding aligns the legislature with minimum NIST and CIS standards used nationwide. It replaces unsupported systems, adds required monitoring, and establishes baseline protection. In conclusion, the legislature has never received a meaningful upgrade to its technology that runs the organization. In fact, when the move was made from the Hessler location to the current building, no upgrades were planned in this new building. The risks associated with outdated infrastructure and insufficient cybersecurity protection are now too great to ignore. The funding provided in Bill 262-38 LS directly supports the three core areas necessary for modern, secure, transparent legislative branch. Its infrastructure and modernization, legislative drafting and automation software, and the cybersecurity protection and compliance. For these reasons, I respectfully request the committee's favorable consideration and passage of this bill. If I may add, as you all know, we've had some issues in the last year and a half regarding our internet, our system. It failed a few times, and we had to do Band-Aids. So this system is, this upgrade is really necessary to move forward today and in the future. Sudus Maasi for your time and commitment to strengthening the operations of the Guam legislature. Respectfully, Joanne Camacho.
Sudus Maasi, First Lady Joanne Camacho, the Executive Director of the 38th Guam Legislature, for your testimony. Mr. Justin Pareto, I understand you will be testifying and also have a PowerPoint presentation. So please proceed.
Hafaday, Senator Duenas, Senator Terlahi, Senator Calvo, Senator Taitague, Senator Gumatautau, and Senator Salas Matanati. My name is Justin Paredo. I am the IT support officer with the MIS department here at the Guam legislature. I served 5 years in the government of Guam as a computer systems analyst for the Office of Technology and the Department of Public Health and Social Services. And I presented a little presentation here to inform the public and also the senators here on the cybersecurity threats we face at the legislature and some of the issues we faced. Next slide, please. An overview of MIS. The Guam Legislature's Management Information Systems Department is to provide secure, reliable, and innovative technology services that support the legislative process, safeguard sensitive information, and ensure continuity of government operations. We are committed to a proactive approach towards cybersecurity and IT governance, identifying risk before they become incidents, strengthening our defenses through continuous monitoring and improvements, and aligning our technology practices with recognized standards and best practices. Next slide, please. The importance of cybersecurity. The Guam Legislature is a critical government institution that stores sensitive legislative records, legal documents, budgetary data, employee information, and confidential communications. As a public-facing body, it is also a highly visible target for cybercriminals, ransomware groups, political hacktivists, and foreign threat actors. Because Guam operates in a strategically significant region in the Indo-Pacific, government systems may face elevated geopolitical risk compared to many mainland municipalities. Next slide, please. An above-average cybersecurity posture is necessary to protect sensitive government and constituent data, ensure continuity of legislative operations, prevent ransomware shutdowns that disrupt public services, maintain public trust and institutional credibility, and comply with federal cybersecurity expectations and best practices. Next slide. The National Institute for Standards and Technology, also known as NIST, Cybersecurity Framework, and the Center for Internet Security, CIS, Critical Security Controls, are widely used standards used by federal agencies, state governments, and critical infrastructure organizations across the United States. Both frameworks agree that effective cybersecurity requires strong governance, risk management, technical safeguards, continuous monitoring, and enforcement policy compliance. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, ransomware losses in the United States topped $1.1 billion in 2023, and state and local governments were among the most targeted. Next slide. And this is just explaining some of the cybersecurity threats we here at the legislature face on a daily basis, starting with malware attacks. Malware, also known as malicious software, is a software intentionally designed to disrupt operations, steal data, or gain unauthorized access to systems. Common types include ransomware, which encrypts files and demands payment for restoration, viruses and worms, which are self-replicating programs that spread across systems, Trojans, malicious programs disguised as legitimate software, spyware, which secretly collects users' activity and sensitive information. Next slide. And how it spreads is through phishing emails and malicious attachments, infected websites or downloads, exploiting unpatched software vulnerabilities, and the impact you can face is operational shutdowns, data breaches, financial losses, and reputational damage. Next slide. Social engineering. Social engineering is the psychological manipulation of people to gain unauthorized access to systems, data, or funds. Common techniques include phishing, which are fraudulent emails impersonating trusted entities, spear phishing, which are targeted attacks against specific individuals, pretexting, is creating a false scenario to obtain information, and business email compromise, which is impersonating executives for financial fraud. Next slide. The impact we face on this is credential theft, unauthorized financial transfers, network compromises, and attackers rely, why it works, attackers rely on urgency, authority, or fear to promote quick decisions without verification. Next slide. And denial of service attacks, also called DOS attacks. A denial of service attack attempts to make a system, network, or website unavailable by overwhelming it with excessive traffic or requests. An example of that would be a distributed denial of service attack, or distributed DOS, is conducted using thousands of compromised devices, also called botnets, and harder to block because traffic comes from many sources. And I also like to add that with the advent of AI technologies, this has become a lot more sophisticated and faster. Next slide. And the impact we could face is website or system outages, disruption of public services, financial and operational losses. The key point to this is the goal is disruption, not necessarily data theft. Next slide. And injection attacks. Our financial system is very vulnerable to this. Injection attacks occur when untrusted input is sent to an application and interpreted as executable code instead of data. This can be common examples are SQL injections, where attackers manipulate input fields such as login forms or search boxes. The system executes unauthorized database commands. Next slide. The potential consequences for this are data extraction, data modification or deletion, privilege escalation, and a full system compromise. And why this happens is from poor input validation and insecure coding practices from the program itself. Next slide. The main key takeaway is that cyber threats target both technology and people. Many attacks exploit unpatched systems, weak authentication, or lack of verification procedures. The effective defense that is required is more technical controls, user training, and monitoring and incident response planning. Next slide. And if you look at this statistic, in just 10 years, the United States reported 785 incidents in 2015, and has risen to over 3,100 in 2024. This is signaling that cyber threats are not stabilizing, they're accelerating. The bottom line is that organizations today are operating in a threat environment that is dramatically more aggressive and persistent than it was a decade ago. Next slide. And this is just touching on the Guam's risk environment and a few major cybersecurity incidents that occurred in the recent years. So the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority, or GMH, Guam's main public hospital, has faced multiple cybersecurity challenges in recent years, highlighting the importance of strong cybersecurity practices in critical public services. Next slide. The ransomware attack of 2018-2019. GMH experienced a ransomware attack on December of 2018 that impacted its systems and potentially exposed the electronic protected health information of approximately 5,000 patients. Ransomware is malware that encrypts systems and can disrupt operations or lead to data compromise if not properly mitigated. This incident triggered a federal investigation. And then in 2023, there was an unauthorized access incident. In March of 2023, 2 former employees were found to have access access to GMH systems without authorization, prompting a shutdown of nearly 100 computerized systems as a precaution. The incident was investigated by the FBI and Guam Homeland Security due to its potential impact on patient care and operations. Next slide. And then the federal investigation and HIPAA settlement in 2025. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights reviewed these incidents and found that GMH had failed to perform a thorough risk analysis of its systems, a foundational requirement for protecting patient data under the HIPAA security rules. GMH settled the matter in 2025, agreeing to pay $25,000 and undertake 3-year corrective action plan monitored by OCR. The operational impact and security challenges of this incident. The 2023 incident caused temporary system shutdown that affected operations like billing and telemedicine services, illustrating how cybersecurity events can disrupt patient care. GMH IT leadership has noted the need for significant cybersecurity staffing increases and infrastructure upgrades to better protect against threats. Next slide. And this is an incident that occurred last year here in the Guam legislature itself. The Guam legislature physical server incident in May of 2025. The Guam legislature experienced a critical failure of its financial department's server, resulting in operational disruption and highlighting the importance of proper system configuration, governance, and backup planning. Next slide. The root cause of this incident was determined to be an operational system failure caused by prior system misconfiguration under a previous MIS administration. Configuration inconsistencies and lack of standardized documentation contributed to the system's instability. The failure was internal in nature and not a result of external cyber attack. The operational impact of this, the physical department experienced significant system slowdowns for approximately 2 to 3 weeks. Key financial processes were delayed, affecting internal workflows and reporting timelines. Staff were required to implement temporary manual processes to maintain continuity of operations. Next slide. The recovery challenges we faced were a full restoration of services took approximately 3.5 weeks. Recovery time was extended due to the absence of an up-to-date off-site backup system. Backup gaps require additional time for data verification, system rebuilding, and integrity testing. The lessons that we identified from this incident: the need to standardize configuration management and documentation, the importance of routine system audits and governance oversight, the critical role of regular tested off-site backups in reducing downtime, and the value of a proactive IT and cybersecurity posture rather than a reactive one. Next slide. The key takeaway is the financial server incident demonstrated that technology failures, even when not caused by cyber attacks, can significantly disrupt government operations. Strong IT governance, configuration controls, and reliable backup strategies are essential to ensure operational resilience and public trust. Next slide. Guam has been identified as a high-valued cyber target because of its strategic location, government systems, and role in global telecommunications. In recent years, foreign-linked threat groups successfully broke into Guam's telecommunications and critical infrastructure systems. These were real attacks, showing how weakness could be exploited during emergencies or natural disasters. Investigations into these incidents consistently reveal that they were largely preventable through modernized infrastructure, centralized monitoring, reliable backups, and most importantly, enforced cybersecurity policies. Next slide. And this is the status of the current Guam legislature IT infrastructure. The Guam Congress building was rebuilt in 2016, and the majority of the IT hardware installed at this time remains in service today. Nearly a decade later, the infrastructure has not undergone a comprehensive modernization. Upgrades have been reactive and piecemeal, not strategic. As a result, critical systems are approaching or exceeding recommended life cycle limits. Hardware failure risk is increasing. Security vulnerabilities expand as our equipment ages, and performance limitations affect operational efficiency. Next slide. The bottom line is that operating a government institution on nearly decade-old core infrastructure significantly increases the risk of system failure, cybersecurity exposure, and operational disruption. Immediate modernization planning is necessary to protect the continuity of government operations. Next slide. And these are our future projections for the future. NIST and CIS agree that cybersecurity controls are useless without proper governance and enforcement. Even if Bill 262-38 passes and all technical upgrades are made, the legislature will still be at risk unless formal cybersecurity policies are adopted and enforced. These policies must apply to all senators, offices, employees, contractors, and third-party providers. They should clearly cover acceptable use, access controls, device and software rules, data handling, mandatory training, and consequences for violations. NIST estimates that over 80% of cybersecurity incidents result from stolen credentials, phishing, or user mistakes. This shows that cybersecurity isn't just an IT problem. It's an organizational responsibility that requires leadership support and accountability at every level. Next slide. And thank you, and Sidus Masi.
Sidus Masi, Justin Pareto. And just as a note for the record, there are some communications ongoing that certain funding sources that are supported in this legislation may not be available. So as the committee chair, I want to rest assured that this bill will be, as marked up, we'll find an alternative funding source in the event that that remains to be the case as being reported by the executive branch. So we will continue to hear the bill, but the committee will ensure a stable and solid funding source going forward for this endeavor. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Senator Telo Taitague for any questions of the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, it's nice to see you on this side of the table now, everyone. I greatly appreciate, as I signed up as a co-sponsor of this legislation. I mean, I oversee Office of Technology and also working in so many other things dealing with like AI, deepfake, all those other things that pushing, hijacking, cybersecurity. There's just so much that there's not enough time in the day to talk about all the threats that are out there. And the legislature, which holds, a lot of critical information, historical data that's needed and needs to be banked here and stored here, is important. Now, some of the information, of course, goes to like the law clerk's office or the, in the judiciary branch holding information there. But what if they go down? What if their server goes down? They have to find another avenue on which that critical information and data is held. So I truly believe that this is something that we need to move in. Also, the fact that it hasn't been upgraded. Now, you and I have been talking a lot throughout the year about how slow or the internet issues, dropping, and the worst one of all is, people hacking into the emails. We know about how FOIA can also play a part in not providing, information to us in a timely manner so that we can address it. That's an issue. So there's a lot more that can go on. But my only concern about the legislation, again, is that, and it's my fault, I should have read it thoroughly and asked the author of the bill, why was the legislative intent discussing more of a previous bill that was passed in the 12th Guam legislature way back in the day, you know, and then it was repealed in another, the 15th Guam legislature. It's just the, you know, legislative intent, I don't think, talks about what you talk to us about today. I think, if anything, Mr. Chair, I would highly recommend that we amend the legislative intent that clearly focuses on the issues on why we're doing that, because I don't see really how it refers to this bill, and I think it would provide even more of a better background to discuss the issue at hand. So other than that, I really don't have anything else. I just hope that we can find some money. I looked at the CRER report recently to find out any excess revenue that could be there for, you know, in FY26. That's money that's sitting there right now. And if we can move just this small amount of money to the legislature on any excess revenue in FY26, that's recognized, that we do this sooner than later, because we've lost so much information, and the biggest thing I'm concerned is that the public at large, who rely on listening to us in the legislature constantly, it's being disrupted, and or it completely blacks out and they can't hear what's going on until they have to wait until the YouTube comes up. And that's another thing that we have to do. YouTube will not base themselves on us, you know, like keep this public hearing up for the next 10 years, the next 5 years. They're a private company, you know, so we have to find a way to, and can we do that is a question to the IT department. Can we find a way to store all these videos that come out on our public hearings and our sessions, so that we have that historical data as to why certain bills were passed and why that information? Can we take that instead of rely on a private company like YouTube moving forward?
I'd just like to say that on the subject of YouTube, one of the main hurdles we would have is our infrastructure cannot handle the load of multiple users engaging live. If we were to do our own live streaming service, and our current infrastructure cannot handle that kind of load, and then we put ourselves even more at risk from cyber denial of service attacks and cyber attacks that are open for the public to witness, you know. So currently, right now, that's why we need this funding to enhance our infrastructure and stabilize our security, so we could possibly in the future accommodate that. But currently, right now, we cannot do that.
And will this funding help us reach that goal, so that we become our own information, you know, server here instead of rely on YouTube?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it's also important that we have our redundant backups. So in the event, say like a natural disaster here, you know, everything will be lost if we keep all our eggs in one basket. So we need to have offsite redundant backups also to accommodate.
Have you had the opportunity to talk to OTEC, because they have servers there that keep critical information and data for other government agencies, like Revenue Tax, I believe, is down there. GPD provides their information and data down there to be stored at OTEC, which, by the way, you know, we need to find another place for OTEC, because that is such a bad location.
Yeah,
it's a flood zone.
Right,
it has asbestos. I mean, I'm working diligently. We're trying to find a location for OTEC to, you know, to move their equipment, their office, to another location, another secure, not another, it's secure. It's not even secure where they're at right now, but a location that is secure for them. Have you talked to them to provide that data there?
Yes, absolutely. Earlier last year, just to do an assessment, we asked if we could store our backups for our financial server there, but they don't have the space to accommodate us, and they only offered to house an additional server that we would have had to purchase. So, but they could not accommodate us.
And how much would that cost? That additional server to give to OTEC so that you have a second location in case some data is lost?
Off the top of my head, I would say in the range of like 10 to 20,000, depending on the size.
And the funding that you're asking for today, will that cover that for OTEC?
That was not originally on the plan, so we'd have to do another assessment and research.
Well, I recommend that you go ahead and request for that in this legislation, so that we have the funding and that we're not delayed any longer or miss any opportunities, or worse, lose data because we didn't have that second server.
Well, I've been reaching out to OTEC, and they're not very good at responding, so it's really up to them. You know, they need to respond to our emails. And
well, next time that happens, you just give me a call.
Okay.
You know, I'll continue to reach out to them as the oversight. They are very busy. I know that, and understaffed, as well as, you know, just not have the funding to support, you know, all the infrastructure there, software, data, you know, and like you said, to provide servers for other agencies like the Guam legislature. So I will reach out with them again to make sure that they answer your emails. I'll do that today.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Taitague. Senator Gumatauta, you recognize?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being with us this morning. Just a few questions. So I know you mentioned OTEC just a few minutes ago, but to what extent has the Guam legislature consulted our friends at our sister branch of the Judiciary of Guam, the University of Guam, Guam Community College, and other organizations for any technical advice, support, recommendations in preparation for procurement efforts should this bill become law?
I'd just like to say we have reached out to the Island Cybersecurity program that's run by Civil Defense, and they have not responded. And we have not reached out yet on the procurement side.
Again, I just encourage the engagement, especially of the judiciary. Their systems are very robust, and I believe that they can provide that technical support. Joanne, please.
We were looking at the AI capability of being able to do the bills, and the judiciary was part of our meeting. So we certainly will, if we go forward, to be able to engage them.
Yes, and I mean, and especially in our close collaboration with the compiler, it makes just a bit of sense for us to engage the judiciary. And I look at GCC and UOG more so from a procurement standpoint, that they can help in terms of either providing any technical support to our branch. Because I know that our branch does very few things, does good things, but there's these other folks who really can understand the proper procurement of these types of things.
We certainly will.
Okay, and then my question and comment, recognizing that legislation from as far back as the 28th Guam legislature proposed to include certain positions in the Guam legislature, including accounting, HR, MIS, and clerical support personnel within the classified service. What discussions, if any, have been put forward regarding the conversion of certain legislative positions which have existed in this branch for many years to ensure proper and efficient implementation and maintenance of costly but necessary equipment going forward?
I couldn't agree with you more. It's actually, this is my first time to work here at the legislature, and since last year, I mean, I question the same thing. There's got to be, because it's every 2 years, it rotates, and we need to have some stability. I just don't know which senator or which area will be able to come forward and say, okay, we need to have people that are classified, that are here and understand the needs of the branch and for continuity and stuff. I I agree with you.
Yeah, and I'd like to comment that also cybersecurity credentials and IT credentials should be emphasized in MIS position.
Thank you so much for that. And Mr. Chair, I think as folks are watching or as we were looking at this, the committee report from this public hearing, I think that what's not lost, it should not be lost on this community, is the losses in productivity as a result of these disruptions that have occurred to our branch of government. I think that folks think that it's just we just kind of do our thing. The rules that have had to come in place because of what we're seeing across this branch, I think it should give many people in this community some concern that we're not just looking at $800,000 or whatever the case might be to make things comfortable. These are serious concerns to a co-equal branch of government. And I think that there's some great policies, again, at our sister branch that can help control and use. I think I was part of the team that helped create those. And I think that they're worth consideration in this particular branch. And Mr. Chairman, and probably as important as some of the things that are happening here in terms of the intrusions, some of those things, I'm certain that our local law enforcement folks are well aware of some of these intrusions into our branch of government. And I think any and all support to be able to support what we're doing here is, I think should be priority number one for this branch. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Senator Gumatata. Senator Tulahi, you're recognized.
Situs Masi. I understand how we want to upgrade our systems, and I'm in favor of that, but I'm really not in favor of describing it that we are at a high cybersecurity risk here in the legislature. There is so little information that we possess that is has to do with any citizen's social security numbers, patient data, crime investigation data, money. We have backup systems for all of these. We're supposed to have, and maybe it's just a matter of getting backups for all of it, like you described. But I mean, I'm not saying this is not a nice plan, and it sounds like you have a plan, but we don't have that in front of us either. And if I could ask that we see the actual plan that you have, that you want to implement, because I just want to see what the priorities really are, because you're describing it as, and you've admitted already that we really haven't faced any real threats. So it's really a problem of just setting up our system so that we have backups and that we can access those things. Pardon? I'm not asking a question right now. I will. Yeah. And you said configuration inconsistencies, lack of standardized documentation contributed to system instability. Mm-hmm. Failure was internal in nature and not the result of an external cyber attack, right? And so you said the threats are data extraction, data modification or deletion, privilege escalation, full system compromise, and we might be delayed in our process, right? Yes. Well, we're suffering delays in our process right now, and that's not at all because our systems are, pardon?
No, go ahead.
Inadequate. That's because we can't get our live streaming to operate, and we have not switched to a different live streaming platform so that the public can actually watch what we are doing. Even parts of this hearing itself were taken offline. And because we only rely on YouTube, and we haven't, since we've been having problems, we haven't switched to anything else, or we have no backup on that. And I know you're going to say, oh, we have a Wi-Fi internet problem. I am so sure that we can solve that. We have done that in the past where we would have different systems in here, different companies even, to make sure that if one goes down, the other one is going to work. And so I am not the expert in this, but all I know is we're not the one handling the money. We are not the ones handling the patient's data. We're not the ones handling the critical information of the government. We are pretty much subject to FOIA and all our email. We should be having backups for all of what we actually produce here. And we used to have hard copies that were actually stored in non-waterproof containers, so they were destroyed in typhoons. We had backup videos, same problem, destroyed in typhoons. So we should be doing backups that I think would solve all the problems that we actually have here. But to upgrade, I mean, I don't have any objection to that. I really just object that we are going to say that the legislature of all the branches of government, instead of GMH, public health, and all of these other agencies, that we are the one with the cybersecurity problem when we've suffered no threats at all. And we're taking this money from a pot that bills already exist to put towards the Mayor Council of Guam for agates multipurpose facility, for UOG repairs and maintenance, for DPW village streets, for the Guam Preservation Trust, for the DISIT, private care services, for GWA wastewater facility, for workers' comp, for Guam Behavioral Health intensive psychiatric treatment stabilization, for the residential treatment fund for our children, for the airport's fuel tax arrearages, and this doesn't include even DOE, public health, or GMH's list of needs. And so all I'm saying is, yes, I know we should upgrade. We should do our systems, but what we have done is allow our live stream to go down, not find any other solution for our live stream at this time. We've allowed our old archive to be turned off. That could have been a backup system, but we completely turned it off. We cannot access it at all. And now we have to go through a new system that doesn't necessarily include all the information. They're still finding gaps today. And I'm wondering, so my question to you is the legislature eligible for any of the federal funds for cybersecurity grant programs that the government of Guam is currently applying for?
Yeah. According to the Island Cybersecurity Readiness Program, we still have to be in compliance. There's certain steps we would have to take in order to qualify for grant funding. But I'd just like to add that how could you say there was no, we are not at risk of cybersecurity attacks? Already,
you said we had none.
Excuse me. Already last year, our AV department was compromised because they intercepted malicious software from a public hearing on a USB drive, and it infected their systems. And we had a significant downtime for about, I would say, a week. And also they had pirated software on their systems, which was provided to them by a previous MIS. So I don't know how you can say that we're not at risk for cybersecurity attack. This is the main governing body right here. We're always at risk because we televise to the public. We put a target on our back here.
But don't you take care of those things? Isn't that your job here, to take care of those things?
How can I do my job if if our firewalls are outdated and they cannot detect the new threats coming out?
We should update them, right? We should update them.
Yes, that's
we
the
should
point.
update whatever you need to update. No one's saying not to do what we're supposed to regularly do. All I'm saying, that's why I want to see what the plan is. Is this plan just a regular maintenance and upgrade, or is it like you're saying, we're going to go out and take care of the cybersecurity of the legislature above GMH, above public health, above everybody, above all these other I'm saying taking care of these things should have been done already in regular operation.
Yes, it should have been done a long time ago, but I don't know, for some reason now it's only happening now.
Well, I'm just saying, and I can't understand, I'm just saying, just don't mix the two. If you want to talk about the risk that we're having that you're unable to protect us from, that's something. But the that so far you've stated are all can be taken care of in-house, just like the problems that we've had seem to be in-house decisions and in-house
Absolutely not. The
directions that we are making.
cyber attacks happen at any hour of the day. That's why we need 24-hour monitoring services.
Right.
We need each senator's office to follow the policies and rules, and in order to protect the legislature itself.
Ma'am, Senator, we've inherited a lot, and we're just discovering it, and that's why we're coming before the body to say we really need an upgrade. The systems we have are very antiquated, and we just need
Yes, an upgrade I totally support.
And
I
that's-
support you in an upgrade. I just don't like it that we're going to compare what's happening here at the legislature, the problems that we're having broadcasting our sessions. It's not related to a cybersecurity attack. It's related to the legislature has decided, first of all, to continue a session when it goes offline. Second of all, not to use any other platform.
Yes.
That they've just decided they're going to stick with the one that for some reason they can't understand why keeps going off, or else they know why and they won't tell us. It's just simple as that. Like, we are supposed to be for the people of Guam, so make it for them. And so that's what I would ask, is that your plan prioritizes these very, very simple things that we can fix. You want to protect things going into the computers here,
I'm
then
sorry,
protect
ma'am.
things
These are
going
not
into
simple
the
things
computers.
we can just.
Pardon?
These are not simple things we can just click a button and fix. The main problem is the infrastructure backing these things, such as the live stream and our workloads.
You're telling
It's
me
all-
the infrastructure
everything is digital nowadays.
that the live stream,
The
but
financial system, the financial system runs off of a server.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Pareto,
Senator,
please just answer my questions. My
Senator.
question to you is this.
Senator,
Is the live stream going down because of an infrastructure problem that we're having here?
Absolutely, absolutely.
The YouTube?
Yes.
That's the problem.
It's not YouTube itself. It's the infrastructure that is powering these cameras right here. It's the network
So
that
tell me
connects it to
why
the
we're going
internet.
offline. Why are we going off of YouTube? Because that would be a totally different answer than the ones that we have
Because we have
given so far.
adequate equipment and it's unreliable.
So it's our equipment that's taking us offline, not
Absolutely.
YouTube.
Yes.
That is totally different answer than what I've been given by everybody else who has
Well, I don't know, but that is what,
discussed
based on
with us.
based
So
on
what
MIS's
equipment-
assessment, that is what we've
And what
proven.
equipment is it that you're lacking to keep the legislature's live stream on YouTube?
Our network switches, our firewalls, and our internet connection. You know, we're only on 100 megs per second. That is too slow. This is an
All right,
enterprise.
and did you need a
This
bill
is an
like-
enterprise
Yes, Mr.
organization, and we need enterprise grade, which is at least 1,000 megs or one gig
And we are.
fiber internet.
And you're not procuring that
No,
yet?
we are. Yes,
okay.
we are. Yeah,
See,
that's
Mr.
on the way.
Pereira, that's my question, is that, of course, if those are just simple fixes, then we can procure those, and we should be
This is
procuring
not a simple
them.
fix. It's not a simple
So you're
fix.
saying
I don't-
we have no
I don't know why you're
fix.
trivializing it
I'm not
into something simple.
trivializing it. I think you're trivializing that the legislature's cybersecurity risk is so great. I
It
think
is great.
You are.
Senator.
That is
Senator,
out of proportion to the
Senator,
cybersecurity risk,
Senator,
because
as
all the
chair-
rest of the
Senator,
government of
as the
Guam.
chair, I'm going to say that this is an argumentative.
Well,
the
because he's
substance-
interrupting me, Mr. Speaker, when
Senator,
I'm speaking, and I have
Senator,
the floor right now, right,
Senator,
Mr.
you
Chair?
do, but
All
I'm
right.
going to keep it to the bill.
It is
You've
the bill.
asked the individual a
We have the-
question. He's giving you
All
an
right.
answer on what the equipment he needs, whether you believe him or don't believe him. That's up to you. If you don't have any more questions, we're not
I
going to do this
have
back and
many
forth.
questions, Mr. Chair.
You have
I
3
asked for the
minutes.
plan. The
3 more
plan's not in
minutes.
front of us, so I have to ask these
I
questions
instruct
one
my
by one.
committee to time 3 minutes. Please get
all
your
I'm
questions.
trying to say is
and
that-
not go back and forth. Please ask direct questions to the witness.
Without the plan, we can't see what the priorities are going to be, and we can't, we just want to justify that we are going to take this money away from all the other areas that supposedly it's being proposed to be used in the rest of the government, and that these are critical. And now I believe that backup for the legislature's data, the unique data that we have here, of course, is critical. And ensuring that we can function and put us on live stream like is required by the open government law, that's critical. That should be done today. It shouldn't have to wait for for I'm not even sure what else we're waiting for. If that's the plan, we don't have enough bandwidth, then we should get more bandwidth today. It's not going to cost us $890,000. So that's why I'm just saying that this bill, if we can see very clearly what it's going to be used for, but I would also like to hear from our, administration before we appropriate this, what you are able to take care of right away. You've heard me, Madam Director. I think that we really need to solve the live streaming problem immediately, today if possible. We have problems with the microphones, but we have a backup system, so I'm glad that audio created that backup system. If our Wi-Fi internet, it seems like you've solved that now, or else you're still working on that, but you are working on it and it's moving. So I'm grateful for those things. And I'm not saying we're not going to do security, because we always have to do that. That's, of course, a given. I just don't want to say that the legislature is at greater risk than any other agency of the government of Guam. And we have some agencies that are underfunded with critical risks. If we have to stop session for an hour to fix it, nobody's going to pass away, and no one's personal data is going to be taken. And
Senator, if I may, that's where you are wrong right there. All of you senators' offices collect constituent data right there. That's private data of your constituents. And if any of that were to leak, they have every right to sue you. So I don't know why you're trivializing this and saying we're not essential here. We are a governing body. We are very essential.
We are essential, and we rely on our
and then you also have the data of your employees right here.
Mr. Pareto.
You have personal information of your employees.
Yes.
If that were to leak, then
and I'm very much hopeful that you guys are taking care of that information. That's what every agency has to do, and I am not objecting to taking care of information. I'm just saying we're going to weigh this based on the amount and based on the priorities that are in this plan that you have. So, and I want to see if this is going to, I guess we're going to be relying on, I'm not asking you a question, Mr. Pareto, but we're going to be relying on something, Madam Director, that does not sound like it's going to without immediately solving those current issues.
Thank you, Senator. Your time has expired. Senator Montanani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the Executive Director. Thank you to MIS for being here today. And just so the public, I used to work in the media, and we used to do live streams with multimedia, the internet, television. And so I understand the kind of upgrades that you're talking about in terms of needing equipment. So I do support this bill. Obviously, I'm a co-sponsor. I'm glad that we're updating the technology here, because when I first got here, we were having problems with establishing our emails. The equipment that I received, I had laptops that were missing connections, couldn't do anything, and that caused a delay for us to accept bills. Not only that, when I was in the office, maybe for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, my email was hacked. So I lost all of the data, all of the constituent communications for a couple of months, because we had to just wipe my email, and all of that was gone. And you know that because you helped me with that. Somebody had started a fake account on some social media platform, and it just froze everything. So people that had emailed and said, "We've been trying to get a hold of you," I had to apologize because my email was hacked. And so totally understand all of this. And then there was an incident with, I think, the accounting records. The system was down. Again, with AV, the slides that were presented. Of course, we all know the YouTube, the live stream, and it's the equipment. I think I can go on and on. So I'm glad that this bill is introduced. As you said, it's been a decade since you've upgraded the technology here. But for the people of Guam, you should probably also come down here because the building itself, it hasn't been fully maintained. There's termite infestation. It could have been resolved in the last legislature. When we came in, the maintenance was terrible. The roofs, it was black. So I appreciate this bill, and there's more that needs to be done, not just technology, but just upgrades to our facilities here. The committee chair on rules has been doing his best job. The maintenance guys, everybody here in Central is working with what they have and what they inherited, just like the bills and the problems and the issues that are affecting not just the government, but the people of Guam. And I will say this, that the Guam Memorial Hospital, as well as the Department of Public Health, we provided funding. They also have federal grants to upgrade their technology, and I'll be working with them to see that through. So thank you for coming here. The other thing I did want to ask, though, is have you had any communications with the Office of Public OIPD? Because they administer the BEAD program, where there's some federal funding there for broadband expansion. There is, I believe it's called the Community Anchor Institution. You can put in an application through that, work with OIPD, and hopefully the legislature can qualify under that and receive some federal grant funding. Thank you.
Senator, we are looking into grants also, making it available, but I have to admit, our system is very antiquated, it's very old. We really need to improve. It's like driving a car of 1980 when we really should be at 2026. And Senator, I just want you to know that we didn't just come up with this amount. There were some work discussions on what's really needed and what we need to acquire, and that's how we got there. Is it the right amount? I mean, I could ask for over $1 million, but we're not. We're just trying to keep it so that we can bring us to a modernization level here at the legislature. Okay, and we did put together a IT policy manual because we never really had one, which I'm giving to the Vice Speaker to be able to introduce to be part of the standing rules, because there's really been no order in how ITs really manage, and that's why when we had the when somebody brought in a disk, a USB, and it affected our system, we need to scan things before we actually put it into our system, and that's what they're doing. So as we go along, we find issues, we're trying to fix it as well. So please know that we're doing our best, but it's time to upgrade our legislative information system. Make it modern.
What about the live streaming, Madam Director?
Live streaming, yes, our contract's coming out. Hopefully, there'll be no protests. A contract's coming out to give us 1 gig versus the 100 megabytes that we have now. So that should take care of that concern.
Thank you, Senator Montanani. So I will ask my questions now. Mr. Pareto, please, I want you to restate how you were attempting to answer what is these clear issues that you're facing, and that you do have a plan, and you will support this appropriation request. So go ahead and restate the fact that this is a serious issue.
Yes, I'd just like to reiterate that we are a governing body and we are always at risk for cybersecurity attacks. Like anywhere you go, in the private sector, the public sector, IT is just as important as accounting and maintenance, whatever. But and I'd like to say that the reason for this bill is to upgrade our infrastructure and to and we do have a modernization plan which I can submit to you later, so you can look over it. We just don't have it right now with us at the moment. But I'd like to say, yeah, cybersecurity is important, but and also if we were to upgrade our infrastructure, such as our internet, our network devices that control all these devices here within this room, that you will see more reliability and significant increase in our streams. But I really don't understand why that's the main, the only thing you're emphasizing today, because our plan involves the legislature as a whole, not just central operations, but also the outside senators' offices to stay secure and do to not disrupt operations, and so we can basically communicate with the public and govern Guam.
So, Ms. Prado, also, I was a little concerned. In your testimony, I did not hear you raising the legislature to any higher position than any other critical areas within the government. Those were for purposes of illustrating how cyber attacks can really affect any institution, right? You weren't differentiating and making the legislature a higher priority, were you?
No, I did not state that the government, I'm sorry, the legislature is above all other government institutions. I'm saying that we should all be treated equally, and no matter where you are, you know, if you're a small office, like in Tamuning or whatever, that it doesn't matter. Cybersecurity is important because it'll disrupt operations. It can lead to financial losses and just reputational damage, you know. So we all agencies on Guam need to be held to the same standards.
So I just want to, my final question, Executive Director, once again, that this is not an arbitrary number. It was done through research, and when you came in, you did a thorough examination along with our IT support of everything the legislature and the offices, the 15 offices that operate out of this legislature that use that rely on the IT department within the legislature, that this is a result of that complete assessment. Is that correct, Executive Director?
Yes, sir. Yes, Senator.
Okay. Well, thank you. I certainly look forward to the markup. I certainly look forward to us providing once again for the debate, certainly on the floor of this bill, that we will have all of the supporting documentation and everything else, and the plan and the reasoning once again for this. And I, as a co-sponsor, I fully support it. I do agree. I mean, 10 years is a long time. And look, I also, as chair, I don't want to, diminish any outside entity, including OTEC, that's asked us time and time again for more money than ever has been requested from the governor's office. And so the fact is that is up to those, entities, instrumentalities, and those responsible to advocate. And to advocate even outside of the governor's office if they're not getting what they think they need in order to be able to move forward. So I appreciate this team for stepping forward and saying, you need it, and then we'll debate this on the floor after the bill is reported out. So with that, colleagues, I'd like to now close on this public hearing. This will be now that Bill 246-38, as well as the earlier bill, or excuse me,
262.
Bill 262-38 as well has been heard. And at this time, the committee is adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator.